bertenun kain malam. Sejenjang putri menumbuk padi siang. Satu harinya nak kelahi, beranuk-anuk si enti-enti, seorang remaja di batu tadi, seorang serigala walau sampai kemati. Putri setubuh, putri sejenjang, penjaga gunung negeri Sarawak, manis si ada dapat dilawan, anak-anak dewa turut kayangan. Putri setubuh, sejejak sayang. Yang bermusuh berpanjang-panjang sayang. Sudah lajunya nak kelahi, lalu bertuku dan waktu terik, sejejak mengayun lalu ke pipi, tapi bertuku lagi berhari. Tapi setubuh membawa tuan, lalu ditikam batang melidah, sampai terkenal menyerang kepala, hingga bertabuh dari pulau Kerang. Putri setubuh, putri sejenjang, penjaga gunung negeri Sarawak, manis si ada dapat dilawan, anak dewa turut kayangan. Kisah setubuh, kisah sejenjang, asal berkawan jadi musuhan, kini tertinggal jadi kenangan, pandai ingatan sepanjang zaman.
Halo, selamat pagi semua. Kita akan bermula sebentar lagi. Harap tadi enjoy tengok video lah. Ada lagu dari Sarawak.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Les.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Okey, rasanya jam sudah menunjukkan pukul 9. Jason, so kita boleh start sekarang.
Dipersilakan.
Okey. Selamat pagi diucapkan kepada semua guru-guru yang hadir dalam sesi webinar kita pada hari ini. Okey, selamat pagi daripada Bumi Kenyalang. Okey, salam sejahtera diucapkan kepada yang berbahagia Dr. Lesmed, Timbalan Pengarah Pendidikan Sektor Pembelajaran Jabatan Negeri Sarawak, Profesor Dr. Narayan dan Profesor So Chong Hao selaku penceramah jemputan pada sesi webinar kita pada hari ini. Okey, selamat bertemu kembali rakan-rakan dari PDG, Zon Tengah, Zon Selatan, Zon Timur, Zon Utara dan Zon Sabah. Okey, pada sesi kali ini, Zon Sarawak akan menjadi tuan rumah untuk berkongsi bicara ilmu dalam PLC tahap kohort program Duta Guru kohort 1. Okey. Okey, di sini ada beberapa saya akan menyampaikan agenda untuk kita. Okey, pada pukul 8 ni sehingga pukul 9, 8.55 pendaftaran. Okey, so pukul 8 kepada pukul 9 nanti kita akan ada bacaan doa. Kemudian kita akan pengenalan dan objektif kepada PLC. Pukul 9 hingga 9.15 kita akan kita akan mendengar ucap tama daripada dan juga perasmian daripada Dr. Les. Okey, kemudian pukul 9.20 hingga pukul 10 minit adalah segmen pertama kita, iaitu daripada Profesor So. Okey, kemudian daripada pukul 10 hingga 15 kita akan ada segmen kedua bersama dengan Prof Nara. Kemudian kita akan ada brainstorming session dan juga objektif PLC. Seterusnya kita akan masuk kepada breakout room dan akhir sekali penutupan, dan majlis kita akan tamat dalam lingkungan pukul 12 hari ini. Okey, objektif PLC kita pada kali ini, okey, iaitu meningkatkan kualiti dan amalan pengajaran dan pembelajaran guru melalui amalan perkongsian terbaik, menyediakan peluang berlakunya aktiviti perkongsian ilmu, kepakaran dan kerjasama dalam kalangan guru, mewujudkan semangat kerja berpasukan, mempopularkan dan membudayakan PLC sebagai strategi pelaksanaan kursus dalam perkhidmatan peningkatan profesionalisme guru-guru di Malaysia. Okey, jadi kita perkenalkan di sini. Okey, tajuk kita adalah amalan terbaik pembudayaan inovasi dalam pendidikan STEM. Okey, penceramah kita yang pertama adalah Profesor Dr. Narayan, kemudian jemputan untuk perasmian kita adalah Timbalan Pengarah Sektor Pembelajaran Jabatan Negeri Sarawak, okay, Dr. Les Ahmed dan juga Profesor So sebagai penceramah kedua kita. Okey, sebelum kita memulakan Zoom kita nanti, sedikit panduanlah, okay, untuk kita semua. Okey, di sini ada beberapa panduan. Jadi pastikan anda menggunakan nama penuh anda. Okey, kita tukar nama penuh. Kemudian ada fungsi chat digunakan. Kemudian kita klik join with audio, computer with audio. Kemudian start fungsi mute dan start video. Okey, panduan penggunaan Zoom juga kalau daripada telefon. Okey, di sini dipaparkan dalam slide dekat sini. Okey, pastikan sama juga menggunakan nama penuh. Okey, kita letakkan gunakan fungsi chat di situ. Kemudian klik button yang ini untuk join audio. Okey. Okey, dengan ini tanpa melengahkan masa, okey, saya akan memanggil Cikgu Zul Fadli untuk memulakan bacaan doa sebagai permulaan pada majlis kita. Dipersilakan Cikgu Zul.
Okay, terima kasih pengurusi majlis. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Kita buka majlis kita dengan Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Engkaulah yang mempunyai segala kepujian Engkau lah yang berhak menerima segala kepujian, Engkau lah yang berhak menerima segala kesyukuran, Engkau lah yang memiliki segala pemerintahan, di tangan Engkau segala kebajikan, kepada Engkau lah kembali segala urusan. Allahumma ya Karim ya Rahim, cucurilah rahmat dan rahimmu ke atas majlis webinar amalan terbaik pembudayaan inovasi dalam pendidikan STEM anjuran PLC Zon Sarawak yang diadakan pada hari ini. Berkatilah ia dari awal hingga akhirnya. Kami juga memohon perlindungan darimu dari segala perkara yang boleh mencacat celakan majlis kami dan daripada segala perkara yang melalaikan kami dari berbuat taat kepadamu. Kepadamu juga kami serah segala urusan kami. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wassallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Serahkan kepada pengurusi majlis.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Zul atas bacaan doa sebentar tadi dan kita akan meneruskan dengan ucapan perasmian daripada Dr. Les, Med Timbalan Pengarah Sektor Pembelajaran Jabatan Negeri Sarawak. Okey, sedikit pantunlah sebelum kita menjemput Dr. Les. Okey, mencari timba si anak dara di bawah sarang burung tempua. Salam sembah pembuka bicara. Selamat datang untuk semua. Cik Minah membeli bunga, Cik Keman membeli pisang. Bertemu lagi rakan PDG semua dalam bicara ilmu dari bumi kenyalang. Okey, tanpa melengahkan masa dengan segala hormatnya, kita menjemput yang berbahagia Dr. Les Med Timbalan Pengarah Pendidikan Sektor Pembelajaran Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Sarawak untuk merasmikan webinar Amalan Terbaik Pembudayaan Inovasi dalam Pendidikan STEM anjuran program Duta Guru Zon Sarawak. Okey, dijemput Dr. Les.
Thank you. Very good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Very good morning to all of you, especially to our participants, the teachers. I was informed SIAC class also involved, and all the teachers throughout Malaysia who are joining us in this special occasion, the STEM education through sharing best practices. On behalf of the Sarawak State Education, allowed me first to thank the Secretariat of Program, the Duta Guru Yayasan Petronas in collaboration with JPN Sarawak, Pusat STEM Negara and Yayasan Petronas for hosting these important events on STEM education through best practices, sharing of best practices. And a sincere gratitude also to Professor Sao Chong Hua from the National University of Singapore and Professor Narayanan, anak lelaki Kurator Ramayang from the University of Sarawak, Malaysia Sarawak, and of course all the SIAC class teachers and participants. I'm be honored and feel very great for participating in this wonderful event this morning, and I really hope that these events will help and enhance the skills and knowledge of our teachers, particularly in delivering the content of science and mathematics, STEMs in schools to our children. Let me share with you a little bit on what National Science Foundation, United States, stated on what is STEMs. According to the National Science Foundation, in the 21st century, scientific and technological innovation have become increasingly important as we face the benefits and challenges of both globalization and the knowledge-based economy. To succeed in this new information-based and highly technological society, students need to develop the capacity in STEMs to leverage much beyond what was considered acceptable in the past. Yeah? So to all the participants, a strong STEMs education gives students an opportunity to apply science and mathematics to the real world scenario. They learn to work together, definitely, and develop new approaches and solve real problems. And all students benefit from STEM lessons. That is what we want. Yeah? So educating students in STEM actually is to equip them with the workforce skill they need, and to prepare them for life, regardless of the profession they choose to follow, and any endeavor they take. You see, almost all the available jobs nowadays, especially in the 21st century and beyond, maybe, were linked to careers focused on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. For instance, business and industries need capable workers with cutting-edge technology skills and a much deeper mystery of science and mathematics. They want employees who can identify and solve problems, think creatively, and work successfully. And those are actually involve STEMs. And of course, to ensure that our children really have the interest in science, the commitment of teachers, parents, and other stakeholders are needed to carry the whole burden of STEMs education. And of course, it is not only teachers, but all the stakeholders involved. For instance, I believe that parents particularly play a pivotal role in encouraging their children to pursue STEMs activity and increase awareness and interest at home and in extracurricular activities for the merits of STEM education. So the parents also play a very important roles. Of course, the teachers, we are playing important roles to enhance the and cultivate the awareness of STEMs among our students. And as we see throughout our experience, as we are facing now, we are facing numerous threats actually that human beings never seen before. For instance, from human health issues to environmental issues. For instance, if now we are being invaded by comics. So those are the threats that we are facing. And another great issue also that humans are facing, for instance, our dependence on fossil fuel, for instance, have caused a severe threat to environment. And once again, science or STEMs fields and science knowledge will be called to find a solution. So we are facing COVIDs, we are facing environmental issues, health issues, and so on. So those needs science to solve the problems. We need science to solve the problems, and the knowledge and skills and science to solve the problem. That is why STEM is so important for our young generation. And the youth of Malaysia, we know that we are dealing with children, we are dealing with the future leaders, and the youth of Malaysia will drive the growth and the prosperity of the nation in the next generation, but only provided that if we equip them to do so, meaning that if we equip them with those skills and knowledge, scientific skills and knowledge, and also not to forget about values. So then our youth will be able to shoulder all those responsibility in future. Yeah, and to all the participants, I hope that you take this seriously. Yeah, and all the teachers who involved, SIAC Plus, and whoever involved in this webinar or the programs, this program, workshop, or a seminar, whatever we call it, to get as much as we can from the sharing from Professor So Chung-Hua, and of course from Professor Narayanayan, and those are the expertise. Yeah, we bring them from National University Singapore, from UNIMAS, to assist us. Yeah, to assist our teachers, to give the insight on STEMs and how to deliver the content and the skills of science or STEMs to our children. Yeah? Realizing that in Malaysia, particularly in Sarawak, the enrollment of our student in STEM is still very low. So the policy which were being formulated almost a decade ago, yeah? That is 60-40. Yeah? Until now, we are not even approaching to that number, yeah, or that ratio. So it is very alarming. So if we want to have a developed nation, developed states, we need to have more students or our children to embark on these STEMs. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve our mission to have developed states by 2030 or developed nation by 2030. Yeah? So if you look at the developed nation, any developed nation, they are very much focused on STEM, yeah, because they believe that the daily life and the prosperity and the development of the nation very much depend on STEM knowledge. Yeah? So with all those, yeah, I hope that once again, yeah, finally on behalf of Sarawak State Education, I would like to express my appreciation to all the participants for taking time out of your busy duty to attend these programs, and to all the speakers, I would like to thanks both of you for your commitments and your excellent thoughts and ideas that you will share with our teachers and participants. Yeah? And last but not least, happy Hari Raya to all our Muslim friends and teachers. Yeah? And Selamat Hari Guru. Yeah? Happy Teachers Day to all of you. Yeah. So with this, thank you and God bless you all. Hello. Halo.
Okey, terima kasih diucapkan kepada Dr. Les. Dr. Les Matt, Timbalan Pengarah, Sektor Pembelajaran JPN Sarawak. Thank you very much, Dr. Les Matt.
Okay, thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Les Matt, atas ucap tama dan perasmian sebentar tadi. A very good morning, everyone. For those who have just joined us, welcome. My name is Sim, the moderator for the first sharing sessions of this morning. So I'll begin by introducing our first speaker of the day, Professor So Chung-Hao. Prof. So received his first-class bachelor's science degree in physics from National University of Singapore, NUS, in 1991. After spending 2 more years in NUS for research, he received a Master Science degree in physics. He then went to the University of Chicago and completed his PhD degree in 1998. During the period in 1999 and 2000, Prof. Saw worked as a postdoctoral fellow at Bell Laboratory, Luzon Technologies before returning and joining the Department of Physics NUS in 2001. He is now the head of Department of Physics in NUS. Prof. Saw has authored and co-authored many papers in the field of nanoscience and nanomaterials. He also received many research and teaching awards from NUS as well as external parties. Recently, Prof. Saw has been awarded the Institute of Physics Singapore President Medal for the year 2021. Today, Prof. Saw will be sharing about the science communications in the new normal. In this talk, Prof. Saw will share the experience in delivering lectures on science demonstration during the COVID-19 period. He will also discuss some of the challenges encountered and strategies adopted in the attempt to make online classes engaging and interesting. Illustrations of the online science demo by way of examples will also be presented during the talk. So, to make the session interesting, I would remind every one of you to prepare two pieces of matchsticks. Okay, so during the presentation, if any one of you would like to ask any questions, please feel free to comment in the Padlet link that will be shared in the chat box, both in the Zoom and YouTube. The link has been shared, okay? So there will be time for Q&A session after the presentation. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Saw Chung Hao. Prof. Saw, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prof. Saw.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Cikgu Jura and Cikgu Sim for inviting me to this particular platform to have the opportunity to meet so many educators. It is a great pleasure to meet every one of you. I would like to echo Dr. Matt's comment that teachers are very, very important in educating our future generations of young STEM career workers, researchers, and scientists so that they can propel the economy forward. Okay, so in this particular talk, what I have in mind is to share with everybody some experience and ideas. And of course, every teachers, you have your own ideas and experience to share as well. So I will appreciate your questions and comment so that we can learn from each other. So let me share my screen. So the title of my presentation today is Science Communications in the New Normal. As you know, COVID situations has made our life very disrupted in a sense. So including the teaching life of our teachers. So we have to adapt to the new situations. So this is basically a sharing of the experience that we have so far. So with very quick touching of different points, I will show you and share with you how I transform my office now. So I'm in my office now. Later, I can take my camera and show you what happened to my office. And then we'll share about some of the outreach effort that we have done in University of Singapore. Okay, and like everybody else, we have to adapt to the new normal. How do we do that? Okay, and since I'm a physics professor, so I have to conduct lab classes. How do you conduct lab classes where your students cannot come to you? We bring the lab to the student. So the online hands-on lab classes, and then there are many interesting things coming out from the Zoom. So as Dr. Sim has, as Jacob Sim has mentioned, this particular presentation is a mixture of science demonstration because I want to use it to illustrate the points that I want to bring across. And I will share with you some of the experience before and after the COVID-19 situations hit us. Okay? And so how do we try to come up with creative way to connect to our students despite the constraint from all the different sectors of online, Wi-Fi, so on and so forth. Okay? And then, so some simple tips, some models that we have adopted. In my teaching, I rely very heavily on science demonstration. So because I'm a physics educator, so when I bring physics concept, I show the phenomenon. So demonstration is very important. in terms of the pedagogy of learning, actually did not change that much. Okay, so it is up to us to find the effective ways to bring this across in the absence of face-to-face teaching. So this is very much a work in progress. I'm still learning. Okay, so I learned a lot from the teachers. I learned a lot from the students' feedback, and I give myself a chance to make changes to make it better, and discover that along the way, hey, this is quite fun. There are many interesting things that you can do. Good. Let me start. Okay, I always like to start my presentation in this particular slide. It is a very ancient Chinese saying. It says, 不闻不若闻之，闻之不若见之，见之不若知之，知之不若行之，学之而行而止矣. What the heck does it mean? Okay, so if you translate into English, okay, so it may sound like this: tell me and I'll forget, show me I may remember, involve me, I will understand. See, learning physics is like this. You really have to involve the student to internalize the concept, solve problem, solve problem, solve problem, solve problem. Okay, memorizing physics is just like a beginning, right? But you have to use it, apply it onto different situations. What I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. What I do, I understand. So learning physics is really, really fun. Let me show you. So I would also give a different title to my presentation: the minds-on approach to learning of physics. Okay, so first demonstration is this small little bird. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm holding a small little bird in front of me here. Okay, and then you see, if I put my finger here and then supporting the beak of the bird, and then 1, 2, 3. Hey, see, the bird balances very nicely on my finger. Okay, so take it out like that. Okay, put a finger, balance nicely. So when I teach the students, this will be a topic about center of mass, center of gravity, balancing of forces from both sides, so on and so forth. So a demo like this get them to think. Okay, but you can always engage them to think even further. So now I'm going to pretend that you are my students. So everybody, I'm going to do this experiment. Take this bird, I'm going to flip it upside down like this. And I'm going to take my finger and support it at the head of this particular bird. You see that? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let go of my right hand. So you have to engage in guessing the answer. What do you think is going to happen to the bird? So I take this bird, which is balancing on my finger nicely previously, and I'm going to turn it upside down and support the head of the bird as shown here with my finger. And I'm going to let go of my right hand, this one. What do you think is going to happen to the bird? Can I have participation in the chat? Those of you who think that when I let go of my right hand, the bird will fall, can you type A? Those of you, when you think that when I let go of my right hand, the bird will not fall, can you type B? Wow, you see, A. Okay, so wow, majority of you think that the bird will fall. Okay, so now let nature tell you the answer. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. What? Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. It flip. So moments like this create a certain struggle among the minds of the students. Why like that? How can you explain this particular concept? Okay, so this is where you can explain very nicely. So I will let them discuss first. Okay, but of course in the presentation today, no time to discuss. Usually I give them discuss. Tell me what happened. Okay, so let me share my slides again. You see, as I mentioned, the center of gravity of the birds is somewhere near the beaks. It's actually slightly below the beaks. Okay, that's why when I put my finger there, right, the action reactions force can balance the weight of the bird because the entire weight of the bird is happening around the red arrow there. So you can support it with the blue arrow, which is from your finger. Now, if you flip the bird upside down and you support it at the head of the bird, which is represented by the white triangle, the weight of the bird is still represented by the red arrow. Then you see this picture, it is not balanced. Okay, so if you let go of the tail of the bird, the weight of the bird, because of this pivoting point, will create a clockwise torque and make this bird flip. Okay, this is exactly what happened. And the experiment repeatedly, you can see it all the time. Okay, yeah. So as a professor in University of Singapore, okay, what I do is I do a lot of research, I do a lot of teaching, and also do a lot of outreach. Before COVID-19, my life as an educator is I go a lot to different places to give outreach talk. Face-to-face science demonstration class, you see, it's always very exciting, high energy, a lot of fun. Okay, yeah. This is a picture of I gave a talk at Science Center in Singapore, and this is at Singapore Art Science Museum. And then many schools will invite me to go there and then show demonstrations like Singapore Poly, Hwa Chong institutions, okay, Cedar Girls School, and then Singapore Chinese Girls School, many. Okay, so having demonstration like this is actually very fun. Okay, so I'm going to show you another demo. Okay, which you can. I have chosen very simple things so that you can make at home also. Okay, that's why we, Dr. Jacob Sim asked you to prepare the match sheet. Later we use it. Okay, so here is another one. All you need is a bottle of water. Okay, and then you go and get some chili packet or ketchup, and then just stuff it in, and then close the cap. Okay, and watch what happens. 1, 2, 3. And there was one year I gave this demonstration at Science Center. So small little boy in the audience raised his hand. Sir, yes, I have a question. Sir, what's your question? Sir, can I come up to the front and examine your finger? This little boy is very smart. He thought that I have attached a strong magnet in my finger, okay, and then do this experiment. No, this is to demonstrate Archimedes' principle. See, Mohammed written down over there. Okay, so I did not use a finger. Finger is bluffy. Okay, no finger. What did I do? Watch carefully. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. I make it more obvious. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then squeeze the bottle. Okay, so this is ideas to demonstrate the Archimedes principle. I will explain. Okay, so this is known as a Cartesian diver, a very classical experiment. Okay, it is to demonstrate Archimedes principle. It states that when you have a body submerged inside the water, it will be buoyant up by a floating force proportional to the weight of water displaced. Okay, and hence, now if you speak like this kind of language, right, it's like a physics language, right? Then so non-physics students, I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, let me explain in the simple layman term. Okay, let me use my hand to represent the packet of chili. Anything on earth, if you let go, it will go down because of, somebody type in the chat. Gravity, very good. Okay, so this chili packet, if you let go, it will go down because of gravity. But when you go to the swimming pool, you jump into the water, you feel lighter because when you jump into the water, you have to push the water away. That's called displacement. The displaced water create a buoyant force, so you feel lighter. So this chili packet is quite big. It goes into the water, it displaces a lot of water, creating quite a strong floating force. Now it happened that the floating force is strong enough to support the weight of the chili packet. So the chili packet is happily floating, as you have seen. And now what did we do? We squeeze the bottle. It exerted a pressure onto the chili packet. 1, 2, 3, squeeze. You see, the chili packet becomes compressed. In other words, the volume becomes smaller, which means the amount of water that it displaces becomes lesser, which means the amount of buoyancy force that it will create becomes lesser. Now the buoyancy force is not strong compared with the weight of the chili packet. So what happened? The chili packet sinks. And the moment you stop squeezing, no more pressure, it will boom, expand back to big size. Push more water, create more floating force, up again. Okay, so teachers, Jaku, you can all make this. Go home, okay, find whatever bottles, fill your water, get chili packet, a ketchup packet, and then squeeze. And let go. Okay, simple Archimedes principle demonstration. Okay, very cool, very simple to do. Now, here comes the fun. Okay, so you can now check your students. Okay, go further. Okay, let me now move to the next slide. Let's ask the questions. What do you find inside the packet of chili? Chili lah. Okay, yeah, but think, is it only chili? Is it something else? There will be air inside also, right? So now, if you squeeze the packet, squeeze the bottle, you compress the packet of chili. Do you compress the air or you compress the chili? When you squeeze the bottle, do you compress the packet of chili? You compress the chili inside the packet or you compress the air inside? So somebody type in the chat. Air, right? How do you explain this to the student? So you can do this. Look, you can take a plastic dropper, right? And then you fill up half of the plastic dropper with water, make it colorful, okay, put some dye, okay? That means the top part of this is air, and you seal it with a metal bar, a pair of metal bar, so air cannot get out. So this particular object, okay, is the Cartesian diver. So now, you see, there's one over here. Something similar is inside this bottle already. So now, if our understanding of physics is correct, I squeeze the bottle, the air inside get compressed. What do you expect to see in terms of the level of water inside this Cartesian diver? Is it going to go up or is it going to go down when the air is compressed? It's going to go up because air is compressed. Okay, so now you be the judge. Watch. Okay, so the blue line mark the difference between the air and the water level inside the Cartesian diver. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! You see, the level of water inside Cartesian has gone up because you compress the air. Now, if you let go, it comes back again. If you squeeze again, and then if you let go, ta-da! You see, very simple concept that you can illustrate and then prove the concept already. So simple things to do. Okay, but you make the class interesting. Even during Zoom classes, you can help to make this interesting. Okay, but I can test my student further. Okay, let me share my slide. Okay, so this one is done. Okay. So you can do some explanation of what happened to the air change and then get compressed, volume smaller. Or those physics students, you can talk about density change because volume it becomes smaller. There's no change in mass. So mass over volume is density. No change in mass, volume smaller, that means density increase. Density increase to be more than 1.0 gram per cm cube, which is density of water. Okay. So I'm going to test my student further. Picture 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are the similar thing, but 1 has more air, 3 has more water. Okay, so now let me stop share. And here it is. 1 and 3 inside this bottle here. This one is 1 with more air. This is 3 with more water. And I'm going to squeeze the bottle. Participations, tell me, when I squeeze the bottle, is 1 going to go down first or 3 going to go down first? Type in the chat. So some of you think 1, the one with more air is going to go down first. The one is number 3. So, some of you type 3. See, the one with more water is going to go down first. You can also type 1 and 3 go down together. You see, you give me mixed answer. In other words, this is a discussions of very, very, very different ideas, different concept. Okay, so usually just let nature tells you what happened. This is number 1 with more air. This is number 3 with more water. You think about the physics. Is it easier to change the volume of air, or is it easier to change the volume of water? Then we learn water not compressible, air compressible. So easier to change the volume of air. Oh, looks like air. So is it easier to change the volume of the one with more air or the one with more water? Okay, number 1 with more air, number 3 with more water. So choose again, which one you think will go down first? Number 1 or number 3? More air. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! See, the one with more air will go down first. Okay, the one with more water still there. Okay, I have to squeeze really hard to make it go down. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay, and then let go. It comes back up. Okay, good. Yeah, see, it's very exciting. See, you enjoy. Wow, yeah. So I understand what is going on. So this is how we try to make the class interesting, even during the COVID situation. Okay, good. Yeah. So besides in Singapore, I get invited a lot to give talks all over the place internationally. Today I'm going, in a sense, I'm in Malaysia, Sarawak, giving a talk. Okay, yeah. So there was one year I went to Kluang, okay, in Malaysia. Xinghua Zhongxue gave a talk, and I went to KL in KL Zhonghua High School. And sometimes I go to India in IIT Madras. Okay, and a few years back I was in Kuching. Okay, at Swinburne University of Technology, give a demo talk. Okay, so I enjoy all this demo talk a lot because it's quite fun interacting with the student. I even went to Taiwan, and this is in China. Okay, to give a demo talk, and this is in Nanjing, and this is in Shanghai, and this is in Shanghai, and this is in Hefei. Okay, yeah. Okay, and guess what? COVID come in. So since COVID difficult, cannot do much. Okay, so since COVID cannot go out, cannot in Singapore also, we also have a MCO, so cannot go to the school to give talk also. So I have no choice but to change everything online. Ta-da! Okay, so since then things becomes more online. So I have to learn to talk towards a camera, which is what I'm doing right now. And I have no facial expression reactions from the student, and in this case teachers. Okay, so I don't know how my audience is recepting the information. Yeah, so it's very challenging. Okay, but we try to do our best to make it interesting. Okay, so you see, so I bring everything up close, so because it's really in front of a camera, and you can do all kinds of demo to talk about different topic. Okay, and then different things. So So what happened? You have to make changes. So my office becomes transformed. Okay, transformations of my office. Okay, to make things interesting. Okay, COVID hit us in the middle of a class in middle of the semester in NUS. So many scrambling trying to move our face-to-face lecture class online because last minute don't know what to do, and we pretty much just anyhow do the simplest technique we just use and then make sure that there's online materials. Okay, and there's no time to optimize. Okay, but there's 1 year plus already, right, in COVID already. So now we slowly get the more time, okay, to make the tweak. Okay, so I'm going to take my camera and show you what I did to my office. Okay, so this is a Zoom camera. Ta-da! This is my office. Okay, this is all my books. Okay, and you see in front here, I have so many different demonstration toys. Okay, and then look, I have a black curtain. Okay, so this black curtain, okay, allow me to show all my demonstration toys like this. Okay, and then I have another camera here which point downwards. Later I'll show you. Okay, so this one point downwards. So when I use equation, a piece of paper to write equations, the student can see. And then I also have studio lamp. Okay, the studio lamp to make the room brighter. Okay, so the studio lamp is very important. If I don't have the studio lamp, my face will look like a ghost. Okay, so the studio lamp make my face a bit more like real human. Okay, yeah. So share. You see that my office has been transformed, okay, with the black curtain. So now you realize that behind me now is black color because it is literally a black curtain. Why black curtain? Because look, when I show any demo object, right, it is so obvious. Your attention is only on the demo object. The black curtain gives you nothing to see. Okay, yeah. So then black curtain background so the student focus on the demo item. Okay, many demonstration item. Okay, and of course I have a trolley which I can push in and out to move my item in and out. LCD screen so that I can show different projection. Okay, one camera here and one camera there. Okay, and then I have my studio lamp to make it brighter. Okay, good. So now it's time to show you another demonstration. Okay, good. Yeah. So to show this demonstration, I take a box here, okay, and I zoom down a little bit, okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, this one you can do, very simple. You see, I have two candles, one long, one short, okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this container, which is the glass container, I'm going to take it, turn it upside down, and then I'm going to light up the fire in the candles, and I'm going to cover like this, okay, with my matchstick, okay. So you have to think about the physics behind. So now imagine the two candles has been lighted up with fire, and I'm going to cover with this glass container upside down. The fire will be extinguished. Questions: which one will be extinguished first? Is it number one, the one on the longer candles, or number two, the one on the shorter candles? 5 seconds, let's you think. Light up, cover with glass, fire will go away. Is it number one going to go away first, or number two go away first, or both at the same time also can? You see, some say one, some say two, some say both. Some say longer, some say shorter, some say both. This is exactly why physics class is interesting, because there's no common unanimous decisions. You all have different thinking. Some same time, some number two, some number one. Okay, this is number one, number two, and then same time. Okay, moment of truth. I take this, I light up. Okay, so you saw the fire on both candles. Now, 1, 2, 3. Gone. Still here. And finally, gone. Ta-da! Number one go off first. Number two later. Wow, isn't this fun for the try? Help me with this. Participate in the chat. When the candles burn, hot air rises, correct? What is the majority component of the hot air when the candles burn? CO2, yes. So candles fire burn, CO2, hot air rise up. And Fire burn some more, CO2, more CO2 rise up and accumulate, more CO2 rise up, accumulate, more CO2 rise up, accumulate, more CO2 rise up, accumulate. Aha, you see, the first candle is already buried inside a thick column air of CO2. Can the fire still burn? Cannot. So that's why the fire goes away. And more CO2 build up, more CO2 build up, more CO2 build up, more CO2 build up. Ah, now even the shorter candle also submerged inside CO2 already. Ta-da. So CO2, the fire cannot burn in CO2. Okay, so this is why this demo is quite fun. Now you can rely on technology. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, how to rely on technology. Okay, CO2 does not support burning. That's why CO2 accumulations kill the fire in the top candle first. Okay. Now this COVID, what do we always do? We take temperature, right? Yeah. So I make videos and I buy the thermal camera to make videos. Okay. So the first video on the left is just normal 2 candles, okay, long short candles, and then you take a glass container upside down and then cover it. You can't see the CO2, but if you use the thermal camera, the hot air temperature will be higher. So you can do the same thing. Okay. So you use a thermal camera to take video of 2 candles burning, 1 long, 1 short. Okay, and then you can see that very interesting as this thing is covering. Okay, so container cover. Good. So you can see that the thermal camera captures temperature zone, which is very good. So anything that is hot, okay, object that is hot, you can capture. Okay. Now you see this picture. Look, the purple green color top portion of the inverted gas container, these are all hot air. These are where the CO2s are. Okay, and now you see green is even hotter now, and you see that the top fire in the candles is already buried inside green zone, which are all the CO2. Now you see the fire going off, going off, going off, going off, going off, gone. The fire at the bottom, lower, shorter candles is not really affected by the CO2 yet. That's why it continues to burn. Okay, see, ta-da. So with technology, okay, you can see the good thing. Okay, yeah. So with all this gadget technology, okay, so you can make the class interesting. You bring in the wow factor first, then you explain the science behind. Okay, so I'm not the only one who does that in NUS. Okay, so many of our lecturers also have to adopt to online teaching because no choice, cannot meet the student because of the COVID, because of the circuit breaker or MCO in that context. Okay. So our lecturer has transformed many of their classes online. Okay, they put the materials online and try to make it interesting. Not just physics lecturer, some of the lecturer from different department, different school. This is Dr. Lee from a business school, right? Okay, and then you see how many screen he has in front of him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including his laptop. Okay, and behind there is the blue or green color curtain, and he also used the studio lamp to make his face brighter. Okay, yeah, and I also make what we call the ebook. Some of these things are transformed into an ebook format. Okay, yeah, good. Next is also fun. I'm going to show you the idea of fluorescence. Maybe, okay, what is fluorescence? It is emissions of light by a substance that become excited by higher energy like ultraviolet light. This is a form of luminescence. Okay, you can do this with simple thing which you can buy. Okay, tonic water and a Sprite. Okay, so now let me show you this demo. Then box come back in, show you here. Ladies and gentlemen, I have this too. What is this? Sprite. Okay, and then am I full screen? Oh, 6 screen. Okay, what is this? Okay, can you see tonic water? Tonic water. If I can bring it close, I hope you can focus. Can you see this? Quinine. Quinine is a kind of fluorescence molecule. Okay, so now I have this. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take 2 containers. Yeah. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, 2 glass container. This is Sprite. So it's really Sprite. Wait. Okay, so I pour a bit more. Okay, so maybe I just let it go like that. Yeah. And then tonic water with quinine, which is a fluorescence molecule, by the way. Okay, so tonic water, go here. I think the Sprite have some more I can pour in. Okay, a bit more here. Good. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, which one is Sprite? Which one is tonic water? This one? What is this? You can type in the chat. Yeah, what is this? Sprite. Okay, good. Okay, Sprite, tonic water. Okay, now you know the old trick. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to move this bottle very fast. You must follow which one is Sprite, which one is tonic water. 1, 2, 3. So which one is Sprite, which one is tonic water? This one? Oh, I think I'm too slow. Let me move faster. Okay, ready? I'm going to move very fast. Okay, don't blink your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Which one is Sprite, which one is tonic water? Still the same. Okay, now let me bring it down. You don't see it because I move it out of your screen. Okay, now which one is Sprite, which one is tonic water? Okay, so we can rely on technology to help us find the answer. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I have an ultraviolet laser pointer. Okay, this one gives ultraviolet light. So I'm going to shine the ultraviolet light into this bottle with unknown solutions. Let's see what it is. 1, 2, 3. Can you see a little bit of blue color? Okay, so actually this is just Sprite because it's just a normal sugar water. Okay, now tonic water, remember, consists of quinine, which is a fluorescent molecule. So when you excite this with ultraviolet light, watch. 1, 2, 3, go. Whoa, see, boom. I becomes a Jedi master. Okay, so this is a fluorescence coming out from the system. Okay, so now I can do this. This is just water. Okay, in the face-to-face class, I will let you taste it, but in Zoom class, you have to trust me. This is just water. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, water. I'm going to shine ultraviolet light inside. Do you think there will be fluorescence? Yes or no? No. Okay, so many of you say no. Okay, let's try. 1, 2, 3, dong. Okay, a little bit of blue scatter light. This is a scattering. So yes, you're right. The answer is no. Okay, no, not fluorescence. Okay, what is this? This way. Okay, highlighter. Okay, so now I'm going to take this highlighter, doing, and I'll put it inside. Doing. Highlighter ink has gone inside. Yeah. Okay. And then now highlighter ink has gone inside the water. Watch this. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay. I become green Jedi Master. Okay, which Jedi Master used green lightsaber? Do you know? Yoda, very good. Hanifa, okay, very good. Okay, green. Okay, so Yoda used green lightsaber. So now you can put everything together, and then finally, and then show. Can you see that? Okay. See, fluorescence, no fluorescence, fluorescence. Okay. So very simple things that you can use, and then you can do simple experiment with this. Okay. So now let me, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So now here comes the fun. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I share this screen first. So COVID hit us, right? Yeah. And we have to teach STEM. There will be experiment. How the heck are you going to conduct experiment when you cannot even meet your student? Okay. So we transform and we adapt. We come up with this idea of take home experiment. How do you conduct experiment, conduct class when you have no ability to meet your student? We bring the lab to the student. Okay, so what we did was we designed the experiment into a simple items and apparatus. We pack them into a box, and then we mail the box to the student. On the day of class, the instructor will zoom in. The student already received the apparatus at home. They open up the box, they do experiment. Okay, so let me show you an example. I teach a class on solid state physics. Solid state physics is about crystal structures, right? So many experiments to do about crystal structure. How do you get them to do experiment? We ship a box of ping pong balls, as shown in the pictures to them. So on the day of the class, I zoom in, they all zoom in, they all have the ping pong ball with them, and we stack different crystal structures based on different way of stacking. Okay, so it's an online hands-on classes. There's another module which is electromagnetism, about magnetic properties. So we pack compasses, magnet, okay, and so on and so forth into a box, and then we mail this box to the student again. Okay, so you notice that in NUS in Singapore, we do have international students. So some of our students actually were home in Sri Lanka, in Indonesia, in Chongqing, in Qingdao. So we ship the things to them. Okay, so here's a student who received the package in his hometown in Java, and we can do experiment. Yeah. Okay, so you have to be creative, and then you have a lot of things that you can make use of. For example, you can use your handphone, okay, to do online lab classes. What is the handphone? Here it is, okay. Can you see this picture? There is an app called PHOX. This is free of charge, okay. I'm going to just type, okay, into the chat, okay, PHOX, okay. And I'm going to switch to the other camera to show you what I'm talking about, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, so let me now turn on my handphone. Okay, so this is my handphone, and I have this app called PHOX. You can use it to measure acceleration. You can use it to measure magnetic field. You can use it to measure sound. For example, I turn on magnetometer, and you press on, and it measures magnetic field. See, for example, if I bring a magnet close to it, watch this, 1, 2, 3. See the spike? 1, 2, 3. See the spike? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you turn your handphone into a magnetometer so you can do experiment with the student. Okay. So now you can also turn this into some kind of a sound audio scope. Okay. For example, this one captures sound. You see, okay, so, and the app is free of charge. You don't have to pay anything. Okay, so you can just download and install. I think the app was made by some scientists in Europe, I think, yeah. Okay, so very useful for you to try it out. Okay, so I advocate for you all to try and play with this, because depending on what experiment you do, you can make use of this. Okay, so now my next demo is also equally fun. The science of sound, the sound of size. How do you produce sound? Sound, of course, is caused by something with a vibrating part, okay, cause the air or water in this case also, okay, to move, to vibrate accordingly. What is resonance? Okay, it is a phenomenon whereby you drive it at a natural frequency, the amplitude becomes more and more violent, okay? So it's a lot of fun, okay? So I do this a lot in the demo. Here it is. Not expensive also, very easy to buy. I do not know whether you can hear the sound or not. Can? Okay, good, yeah. Okay, so this is the resonance. So now this object, because of the shape and size, because of the material that it's made of, has a certain natural frequency. Okay, so now the object will vibrate according to a certain frequency. Now, if I take this wooden rod to rub it, the wooden rod is very rough. You will rub it at different kind of frequency. Doesn't matter. One of the frequency may match the natural frequency of this object. So the object will vibrate more violently. You get resonance. Okay, so listen, take a few seconds. Go. Did you hear the resonance? Okay, very cool, right? Okay, what is another object that can give you sound? This is a drum, right? Okay, how does a drum produce sound? The drum produces sound because of this membrane vibrating, right? But can you see the vibrational pattern of this membrane? Not easy to see, right? Okay, so we become creative. We invent something, also quite fun, okay? So here it is. Can you see this is another drum? Can you see right in the middle of this drum, there is a piece of mirror? Okay, so we want to use this mirror to reveal to you the vibrational pattern of the drum. Okay, so this is what I do. So I'm going to switch on the laser light. And I'm going to shine the laser light to a mirror. So when the laser light hit the mirror, it will bounce back, right? And the purpose of the mirror is to reveal to you the vibrational pattern of the drum. Okay, and this one you won't see me, you will see the screen. Okay, ready? So I'm going to switch on the laser. Can you see the reflected laser spot? Okay. Okay, so this one not so bright. Maybe I use this one, also same. Okay, let me use the other laser. Hopefully this is better. Okay, can you see the laser spot? Okay, good. So now I show you the vibrational pattern. Here goes.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol. You see, it is fun to show signs in this way. Do, fa, mi, re, do.
What is the physics behind? When you sing, what comes out from your throat? Sound. How it sounds propagated?
Do, re, mi, fa, sol.
Through air molecule. So when you
Do, re, mi, fa, sol.
Any frequency go to this particular drum surface, the boundary conditions require a certain vibrational pattern, standing wave. So the membrane vibrate according to certain pattern, the mirror vibrate to according to certain pattern, and then the laser spot, which is bounce off the laser, the mirror will vibrate according to that pattern. So you create very nice pattern. So again.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. You see, we're talking all kinds of frequency coming out, not so fun, better to sing. So, fa, mi, re, do.
Okay, very simple, very cheap to make, right? All you need is just some PVC pipe and then balloon membrane, burst it, and then stick a mirror, and then you sing. That's it. You can do all kinds of interesting experiment already. Okay, good. So now, okay, let me share screen some more. So I have done this demo already. So this is a membrane on a mirror, with membrane with a mirror, and I use it to show the vibrational pattern. But you know, what is the most exciting part of this particular invention as a professor? The most exciting part is this is not invented by me. This is invented by 3 students from NUS High School. 3 young girls come to the laboratory. After half a year, they invented this. This is where you feel very, very enriched. Right? Just now, Dr. Matt was talking about enriching our future generation of young students. Let them inspire to become creative because they will be the main driver for future economies. When your students come to the lab and they created something like this is where you feel it's good to become a teacher. Okay, yeah. So my students, they do many, many things. So they design all kinds of take-home kits, okay, and then nanotechnology. And then since, okay, just now Jaku Sim mentioned that I'm a specialties in terms of research is nanotechnology. So with the last few minutes, I'm going to show you something very fun, okay? So which is the matchstick, okay? Good. So final few minutes. Now, can I invite everybody to take out the 2 matchstick that you have prepared? Okay, so take out the matchstick you have prepared, okay? Matchstick you have prepared, okay? And now I will show you what you can do with this, okay? So I'm going to stand up, okay? So stand up, okay? And I will come up close, okay? So can you see the matchstick here? So 2 matchstick, okay? So I'm going to hold one of them with my finger and then support it in nice structures. And the cool thing is this, I can command the matchstick to jump. Watch, 1, 2, 3, jump, jump. 1, 2, 3, jump. Did you see it jump? 1, 2, 3, jump, 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 jump. 1, 2, 3, jump, 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 jump. What is going on? How come the matchstick can jump like that on demand? Okay, how can you do that? Okay, so let me teach you. Okay, so let me explain to you first, and then I teach you. Okay, so let me share screen. Here is a picture of surface of a human fingernail. What is your impression of the surface of a human fingernail? Smooth or rough? Very rough, right? Okay. Here's a picture of surface of a toothpick or a matchstick. Same thing, okay? Is it smooth or rough? Very rough, okay, yeah. So what is the demonstrations that I'm showing you now? Okay, so let me explain to you, okay. Okay, so we are, okay. The trick is this. These 2 fingers hold the matchstick. This finger, the middle finger, the important thing is, can you see that the fingernail touch the matchstick? And during the demo, I drag the fingernail down. At the nano scale, you see, I drag the fingernail down. Okay, so all you do is hold this tight, fingernail push against the matchstick, and then drag it down. drag it down. Okay, so now you watch what happens when I drag the fingernail down. One, two, three, drag. 1, 2, 3, drag. 1, 2, 3, drag. 1, 2, 3, drag. 1, 2, 3, drag. Okay. So every time when you drag the fingernail down, the matchstick jump, right? This is the reason. Okay, let me explain. Okay. Here comes the reason. Remember, I already explained to you that the matchstick is very rough. The fingernail is very rough. So what you do is that I use a fingernail to touch the matchstick. 1, 2, 3, touch. Like this. Okay, so maybe I make it bigger. Okay. And touch the matchstick. So two rough surfaces are in contact with each other. And what happens is you drag one against another. So you drag this. Okay, what happens is you go up and then pa. You drag again. And then pa. And then drag again. And then pa. Drag again. Pa. And pa. Okay. So every time this pa, 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 pa thing, okay, give you a kick to the matchstick and then it jump up. Okay, so it's not magic, it's really nanotechnology at play. So now you can do this. Fingernail, this one, the one that where the fingernail touch the wood is the most important part. I drag it down. Okay, so when you drag it down, it's nanotechnology, really nanotechnology. So, right, so okay, I did not do it well. Okay, maybe this one too rough. Yeah. See, doing, doing, doing. Okay, can I have a show in the chat? How many of you managed to do this at home? Just type yes. Ken, yes, Ken. Oh, very good. Okay, good. Okay, don't worry if you cannot manage to do it because you just keep practicing. Guess what? I have started practicing this since I'm only 12 years old. So I'm very old now. Okay, so I have been practice for like years. Okay, but I'm very happy to see many of you say yes, 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 yes. So you managed to make the matchstick jump, right? So like that. Oh, doing, 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 doing. Okay, it's nanotechnology at play. Okay, good. Yeah. So now let me just okay, so let me just do a share screen here. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, so sorry, I forgot to share. Yeah. So let me make it maximize. So the Zoom class has brought in very interesting attribute because you see, when I do this demo, I can now bring it really close to you, right? You can see the matchstick in front of you and then it jumps. Okay, so it has a certain attribute. It brings the class close to the demo, close to the student. And guess what? You can also have co-teaching. Okay, so you can have teaching. Let me go back. Come back here. There was a class whereby I do the teaching. My PhD student, Dr. Lim, was answering questions in the chat. So all the science questions, because I'm speaking so fast, I have no time to look at the question. He answered the questions on the spot. Okay, and then also when you do the experiment online, hands-on, your student may come from different country. Physics experiment is very fun. For example, if you do pendulum, you measure G, right? You do this experiment in Singapore or in Malaysia, you're so close to equator, you measure a value of G. But if you do this experiment in North Pole or Canada, somewhere near North, the measure value of G not the same because Earth is spinning. Okay, so you can have a very interesting physics discussion. And sometimes I even have a thing zoom into the lab. So when I discuss a certain experiment, my postdoc, this is Jian Feng is waiting for me there. Then when I zoom to the lab, he will show the apparatus and then operate the apparatus. So to make the class very exciting in terms of discussion. Okay, so that's the end of my talk. I hope that you have appreciated that, oh, physics is really, really fun. Okay, and I really appreciate your feedback and comments on the topic discussed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor, for such wonderful and motivating talk. Amazing, amazing magic related to science. I believe that all of us will benefit from your talk. So now it's time for Q&A session. So I've chosen a few questions asked by the audience in the Padlet. So, Professor,
yes,
a few teachers actually asked similar questions related to demonstration. So usually demonstration is done by the teachers, right?
Yes.
So it's called a teacher's Professor, do you feel that hands-on activity like experiments by students, the student-centered learning would be a better one because of multiple intelligence? So some students might be better watching and some students might be better doing them hands-on.
If I have the time, I will make every one of you do it. do the thing. Yeah. So I agree totally. Again, hands-on is I'm a very big fan of hands-on experience. So in other words, I did not share. I have another workshop whereby the apparatus are on the table. The students come to the lab. Okay, for 3 hours they make things. They create the demonstration apparatus. Okay, they understood the science behind, and then at the end of the day, they bring the apparatus home. Yeah. So I totally in favor of hands-on things. So if you have an opportunity and of course resource permitting, you let them do it. Yeah, that would be the best part. In addition to that, I share with you another things I do for the student. On a monthly basis before COVID, I will bring a group of 15 students with me. You know where I go? I go to Science Center. Okay, with the student. Every one of them have the demonstration apparatus. And when we reach Science Center, we will scatter ourselves to different tables. And then 10 o'clock, the door of Science Center open, the visitor come in, my student explain science to the visitor. When you explain science to people, I think all teachers agree, right? You actually learn even more when you explain to people. Yeah.
Yes, I really agree with that. If students are able to show that on themselves to explain their own science theory, that would be the best.
Yes.
One more question is on how Prof find all the inspirations in this science and physics.
Okay.
Where do Prof find all the inspiration?
It builds up over time. So don't worry if it's not perfect the first time now. Okay, I have done this for like 20, 30 years already. Okay, so some of the apparatus, it was just designed for show and tell. Okay, and then when I show and tell, then the teachers like yourself or the student will give me feedback. Say, oh, this one not clear. I don't understand. This one make me confused. So over time, we will slowly tweak, and then make the presentation sequence and format much more much more smooth and coherent, and the student understand. Then when the first time it was rolled out, it wasn't that perfect. Yeah, then we learned from that. So I wasn't very particular when it's not perfect the first time round. I know that just give me feedback, then I can tweak and I can improve. So the inspiration for ideas is reference book, Facebook, or online, YouTube. So I watch also see what people do, and also sometimes I give my student project. Go and design a demonstration and come back to me, and then they design it. They say, oh, this is very good, then we build. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Prof. One last question is about cost.
Yes.
Because since Prof mentioned that we need to, Prof will send the kit to the students, right? So roughly how much cost it is for sending the total cost, including preparing all the materials and apparatus together?
Yeah, absolutely right. So yeah, that's why the cost must be committed by the school, by the MOE, in my case university. Yeah. So when COVID hit, we let my bosses know. I said, okay, we have to do this already. Okay. So we need the extra budget so that we can prepare these apparatus, and also we have to pay for the cost to mail the apparatus to the student. Mail the apparatus to students in Singapore is quite cheap, a few dollars, but mailing the apparatus to a student in Sri Lanka, China, it can be at the range of $100 or so. So we did ask for the budget for this. Yeah, I mean, of course, the UC understand, because of very special situations, so they give us a special allocations.
Thank you so much.
Money. Okay, this one you go to your boss. Okay, ask your boss for money. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof.
Yes.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Can you take one question from me, Prof?
Sure.
Yeah. In the underprivileged situation, especially like when we don't have a good coverage of internet, where we unable to have this privilege of meeting with our students through Zoom and interact with them like this. Do you think that is there any alternative that is available that we can reach them, especially those, for instance, like in Sarawak, where we have a lot of challenges to reach out our students during this midst of pandemics. So could be maybe there is an idea of alternative. How do we reach them so that they will not be able to lag behind? And I see it. I would like to thank Prof. For very inspiring and motivating demo to our teachers. This really, we really appreciate it. It's really give a lot of ideas definitely to our teachers. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Yeah. So quick answer to your questions is yes, I agree that there are some challenges with resource and also internet connectivity. So we do also develop asynchronous versions of this. Synchronous is like this. That means I interact with you live. So I see your feedback. I can immediately do things. Yeah. The asynchronous one is that you can record things down in the form of video, YouTube, even ebooks. Okay. So you make it available in a database or library. Then when the students have access to internet or access to online or through handphone, then they look at it. So we put it in a depository and then we tell the student it's there. Okay, go and visit it and then let us know whether you're able to look at it. Yeah. So the asynchronous versions, we build up that particular library and database. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lex, for the questions and Prof for the clarifications. So once again, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Prof Saw for willing to share valuable experience in our program. So due to tight time schedule, we need to end the session for Prof Saw. So however, all the audience, if you still have questions to be asked, don't hesitate to comment in the Padlet link so that Prof Saw would answer it after the session. Thank you everyone, especially to Prof Saw for such amazing sharing.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Untuk sesi seterusnya, saya akan serahkan kepada Cikgu Suzy. Dipersilakan, Cikgu Suzy.
Hai Cikgu Suzy, boleh minta tolong untuk unmute? Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Alright, okay. Terima kasih kepada Cikgu Sim. Okay, kita akan memulakan slot kedua. Pada segmen kedua ini, kita akan berbicara tentang trees. Okay, bersama dengan Profesor Dr. Narayan selaku penceramah kedua kita pada sesi webinar pada kali ini. Dan Prof Nara akan mengupas tajuk pendekatan trees dalam pengajaran dan pembelajaran subjek STEM. Ini mesti sesuatu yang barulah untuk kita warga guru. Okay, jadi sedikit background tentang Prof Nara. Okay, di sini Prof Nara. Prof Nara was first introduced to trees in 2010. So since then, he has been certified as a trees level 3 practitioner by International Trees Association. So he is also trained as a trees consultant and trees instructor by Malaysian Trees Association. So he is heading to the Center of Excellence on Product Innovation and heads to Borneo Trees Initiative. Okay, he has conducted trees courses and workshops, training over 1,200 person. Jadi, according to him, okay, with trees, everyone can be an inventor. Okay, dengan ini tanpa melengahkan masa, kita menjemput Prof Nara untuk menyampaikan perkongsian beliau. Dipersilakan Prof.
Okay, terima kasih Cikgu Suzy sebagai juruacara. Thank you to the Petronas Duta Guru program. I mean, thank you for inviting me to this PLC, and I feel very honored to be part of this because, firstly, I was inspired by the tone set by Dr. Les Met. It was nice hearing you online. And then, it's a privilege to be on the same panel with Professor So, I mean, who's such a distinguished personality. So I would like to actually thank the teachers, I mean, for thinking of me as a candidate to represent, TRIS and also STEM. Right? I mean, for your information, I mean, Malaysia has been kind of active in promoting TRIS. And I will tell you what it is. I know many people are going to be wondering, what is this TRIS? What animal? Right? So, I mean, I will answer all those questions. Right? But first of all, let me just inform you that, I mean, the challenge that the teachers assigned me today is more on how can the TRIS approach help in PDP, right? How can it help in pengajaran dan pembelajaran subject STEM, right? So today, while I'm at home, unlike Professor So, who's in his office. Somehow, I didn't have the time to finish my slides and run there. I mean, in a way, today's slides is specially prepared for the challenge that you guys gave me. So I would like to, in a way, engage you positively, engage you interactively, so that we can all leave this session much more richer, right? So after being inspired by Prof. So, I think I'm also trying to look at a way how I can move on from where he stopped, rather than to do what I actually thought of doing, right? So you can see that Chris allows me to be extremely interactive, extremely spontaneous, able to tune to the audience as much as possible, right? So these are things that I will share with you. But as we move on, I just like to start with a question. What are the challenges that teachers are facing in STEM teaching and learning? Can some of you type your answers? And Cikgu Suzy, can you read the first answer that comes up? I think that'll make it easier for me.
Yes, Prof. Nara.
Yeah, can you read an answer from the chat? Okay, so my question is, what are the challenges teachers face? Yeah.
All right. So far belum ada lagi jawapan from the chat.
Well, let's have one answer quickly so that
pengetahuan dan TRIS, okay, from Cikgu Hanafiah.
Okay, well, anything else? I'll talk about TRIS anyway, right? So what do you think is lacking or biggest challenge? I don't want to say lacking. What do you think is the biggest challenge in teaching STEM in schools today?
Solving problem. Okay, ada kata time constraint.
Okay, time constraint, I won't be able to address that. Okay, solving problem, yes, right? That I will be able to address. One more answer quickly.
Okay, engagement from student.
All right, excellent, right? I think, we'll stop there. I think my talk is... Okay. My talk is actually mainly going to address this point on solving problems, right? How can we solve problems better? How can we become better as problem solvers? And in looking at the presentation by Prof. So, I realized that he had also taken the same approach. So I think that's something that you will see in line. I'm actually going to talk about what I learned from him and how I link it to TRIS as well. So I think so that you all go back home with a single perspective, rather than, I tell you something totally different from what he has already made such a beautiful, I will say he's already crafted something very beautifully. And I think you all should still leave with a rich interaction like that, with a kind of inspiration to want to do similarly in every one of your class, right? So this is really how I will approach my topic today. Right. The second question I ask you is, do you think you really need something called trees? All right, so some say yes. Okay, there are 17 of you who I have trained. Well, the training was, of course, only a one-day training with another 1.5 days of y'all doing your own work and presenting. So I will show some examples from that training also in today's class. So I will start with today's session with an uncertain set of answers, right? So I'm going to start with this slide, right? So what I believe is a big problem for today is we are needing STEM leadership, right? Because we need to ask ourselves a question. Are we preparing our future generations to become leaders, or do we just want them to be followers of things like STEM? I mean, if we don't really understand that STEM is about innovation, STEM is about problem solving, STEM is about creating future thinkers of the world. If we don't realize that kind of understanding or that kind of drive to learn this wonderful tool set, we will find that we are going to lose something along the way, right? So what we are actually looking at is STEM leadership, and I don't see any training that talks about STEM leadership, right? And well, you will see some aspects of what I mean by STEM leadership, and we saw in Prof. So's presentation today. I see his presentation as STEM leadership by example, by grassroots examples that easy to multiply, right? So I think that's really what we need to look at more and more. Right. Let me click. Right. So today's talk, I will be introducing what is TRIS, and that's really what I'm here to do. And also I will talk about how we can think creatively as STEM educators. And if I have time, I will try to look out for ways where we can expose TRIS in a more meaningful way for all teachers, not only those who are aligned to this Petronas Duta Guru program, right? So with that, let me start with TRIS. Okay, TRIS, the correct way of pronouncing is trees, right? I mean, the Russians do that. Okay, well, TRIS actually stands for Theory of Inventive Problem Solving. In Russian, it sounds like Theoria Russiania Isobretelsky Zadaч, right? So don't worry, you won't get marks for pronouncing it today. But in a way, you can see that it is coming from a different culture, but it has been adapted to suit many different contexts, right? So what I have to like to start off today's session, I'd like to say, TRIS adalah rahsia terbesar. I mean, most of you, before the training that I did, hadn't even heard of TRIS. And as you learn TRIS, I can tell you this. This has changed my life considerably, and it has changed the lives of lots of people I interact with, and I hope to somehow share my insights with all of you. So let's see how keajaiban berlaku, right? Now, TRIS was founded by this gentleman here. His name is Genrich Altschuler, and Altschuler, in 1946, he started looking at the patent collections. I mean, as teachers, I mean, you all may not have been exposed to looking at this patent collection. I mean, if you look at every invention, there is a patent. I mean, for about 300 years, I mean, people have been defining patents of a steam engine, patents of electric bulb, patents of glasses, right? So patents of every invention of mankind is stored in patent collections, right? And you can use tools like Google Patent to search these patents, right? And as you look at this over 100 million patents that you can search, you will realize, wow, mankind has produced all sorts of ideas. And in 1946, when Altschuler looked at this patent collection, he was looking at 200,000 patents. And he was studying this 200,000 patents. And he says, out of 200,000, 160 are just shallow ideas. So he was looking at a lot of the things that people publish in the patent database, and he realized that they were all shallow ideas, So he was kind of disappointed, but he says, never mind, let me study the other 40,000. The result of studying these 40,000 patents produce what we know today as TRIS, right? So what started in 1946, which is about 60 over years ago, is really what I'm talking to you about, right? Okay, the journey of TRIS came to Malaysia through Intel, right? Intel brought it to Intel Malaysia in about 2008. And in 2010, through MDEC, they started programs, right? So I was one of the early ones to join their programs. And today, I mean, you can see Sarawak is one of the most active places in Malaysia to do this TRIS training. And we are doing TRIS training for a variety of groups. So I'm not going to go into this. I'm going to go into just a quick overview of who's using TRIS, right? Now, if you look at this slide, how many of these companies do you all know? I mean, is there any company that's familiar to you? Okay, well, there's Shell, right? There's NASA, there's Medtronic, there's Dana, there's Renault. I mean, you will see BMW there, there's GE, General Electrics, all their engineers are trained on TRIS. Siemens, the leader of IR 4.0 and beyond, they are looking at TRIS. Intel. So you can see TRIS is a secret. All these guys are using it. I mean, companies like Samsung is a world leader because of how they use TRIS, right? I was just looking at the value they create from patents using TRIS. Well, the graph was exponential. Every year, it is every 2-3 years, their profits double. You know, I saw the inventions Johnson & Johnson come up with. They come up with billion-dollar products by using TRIS. So this is the secret of TRIS that I wanted to share with all of you today. And in Malaysia, I mean, there's been consultancies done in all these companies, I mean, in West Malaysia, but at the same time, with over 10,000 people trained in TRIS, in Sarawak, we are also active. I mean, we have trained corporate training. I mean, we've done corporate training for Sarawak Energy. Now, Longi has, as you know, the solar company. We've done some basic training there. Tegas, training for youths, training for teachers. And also now Synergy is asking us to train their top management on leadership using TRIS. So you can see TRIS is growing in interest, but what I really take pride in is the 17 wonderful teachers that I worked with during the pandemic period is something that I think is truly meaningful for me, and it's one that I will remember for a long time, because I think I saw the start of something beautiful. And today I will see is the second step where we are going deeper into how teachers throughout Sarawak, no matter where you are, you can be in Kapit like Cikgu Sim, you know, and he's doing some wonderful invention, right? So it could be teachers who's in Muka, or, you know, any part of Sarawak, but every one of you should be thinking of how can I innovate. Right. So before I start, I just want to quote the CEO of Tegas, Cikgu Awangku Merali. I did an interview, and after a training where all of his staff were trained, right? So what he said is, TRIS membantu saya mendekatkan masalah dan isu dengan cara berbeza, cara mendalam, cara meyakinkan. So in a way, he says TRIS is a convincing way, a deepening approach to find the root cause. So in a way, he was kind of surprised and shocked by the capability of TRIS. So let's, without further ado, answer this question. Right now, apakah puncak zaman creativity manusia? What would your answer be? Okay, I want to know, at what age are you most creative? Any answers? Kids, all right. So I'm seeing 2 to 6 years old. All right, that's okay. That's good enough. So now all of you are getting an idea, teenagers, right? So now I'm talking to the wrong people, you know, because any teenagers in this group? Any 7-year-olds? Well, I mean, you saw one of the most creative persons, Prof. So, is he 8 years old? Right. So you can see. We should not believe all these studies, actually. You know, we should not believe all these studies because they tell you that there is a limit to how creative you can get. And there is some truth in that. Of course, scientific studies has shown that there is some element of, you know, cells getting deteriorated and all. But what I want to tell you today is this is not based on scientific analysis. It's based on empirical data of all the trainings that has been done by TRIS masters, including myself. With TRIS, you can actually extend your creativity beyond the age that you mentioned earlier, right? So let's move on. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, while imagination embraces the entire world, right? So that's from Albert Einstein, and that's really what we need to tap on in order to bring about the creativity in each and every one of us, right? Now, another thing from industrial experience, we realize out of every 5,000 ideas. I mean, we kind of distill it to 3,000 raw ideas, and then that's put on paper. From that 3,000, we only find one single success story, right? I mean, this is what most people will agree, and it's based on Greg Stevens and James Burley, who actually looked at a large study. I mean, it was published in '97, right? So you can see that innovation is seen to be cumbersome. Okay, now if you ask me why does this happen because not enough people know what TRIS is. If they know what systematic innovation is, which is the broader term, then this will not be true as well. So really, this is the kind of proposal that I would like to make. As you all start learning TRIS, we will move towards, well, demystifying such beliefs that, innovation is difficult, right? Okay, now, let me start by sharing why is TRIS powerful. It's based on 50 over years. It's based on what Altshuler did in 1946. He started studying 200,000 patents. And what he found out as the answer is really what made TRIS very powerful, right? So it is possible to use analytical logic to understand root problems. That's the second one. Third one, more importantly, he has started looking at ways. And right now, TRIS has a good collection of tools for handling psychological inertia, right? Psychological inertia means something that stops us from being our best, from bringing out our potential for creativity, right? I mean, this psychological inertia could be some sort of a barrier in terms of, background knowledge. I mean, it could be some sort of a, lack of confidence, emotional experience in the past may stop us from inventing and becoming an inventor for the future, right? So these are some of the things that can be addressed by a systematic approach that I will share with you, right? So TRIS offers tools, and then it offers a knowledge-based approach based on a large collections of patents, and it facilitates collaborative intelligence. All right, now, just now I told you about the 200,000 patents. From the 200,000 patents, Altshuler synthesized to 40,000 patents, and he started classifying these patents. And from these patents, he extracted exactly 40 principles. And we actually produce copies of these 40 principles. I mean, we simplify it for general use like teachers. And I have some interesting stories to tell you how some of the teachers are using it in their class. I mean, so you can see the 40 principles are the alphabets of innovation. If you have 26 alphabets where I can write any story, any book, any publication, we have 40 principles that are repeated in all the 40,000. In all the 40,000, this 40 is enough. So you can see, knowing these 40 principles is good enough for any inventor. Okay, while I was listening to Prof. So just now, I was asking how many of the principles did he start using? So I opened up my card and I started bringing out the principles, and I noticed that I am sure he's using all the 40 principles, right? Okay, so the thing that TRIS can do, even for experts who are internally or intrinsically, inherently using these principles, it is possible to help them to understand as a meta level how they are thinking and what makes them so special, right? So these are some things that I could offer to my colleagues, and I have done it because I was talking to one guy who keeps winning awards. I was asking, why is it this guy is different from the rest? Because for every of his invention, he uses about up to 15 principles, right? So in a way, you can see when we are using the building blocks of invention or innovation, we become inventors. So what I'm telling all of you is you can go to the internet, you can find the 40 inventive principles, and well, you can attend some trainings. I will do webinars on this as time goes on, right? So it is possible for everyone to become creative and an inventor you always wanted to be, right? So the other two things that Altshuler came up with, the second one is technology trends. Okay, Prof. So, I mean, these are heuristic objective laws I mean, they're not actually a law, but these are heuristic rules that Altshuler came up with based on looking at thousands of patents. But I will not go into the technology trends in today's talk, but today's talk, I will go into scientific effects, right? So the three things that Altshuler came up with is trends, the principles, and the effects, all right? The effects is, today's job is very easy because all the examples given, the bird flipping, you know, all those examples, the Archimedes principle, the Cartesian diver, these are all scientific effects. I mean, so they are physical effects, right? So they are chemical effects. There were some chemical effects that Prof. So also taught us, right? So there are chemical effects, there are physical effects, there are biological effects, right? So we can combine these effects or use any one of them to inspire our students. But as teachers, we ourselves need to understand what these scientific effects are, right? So I think that's really the common theme that is coming out in today's sharing of best practices, right? So today, when over 2 million patents have been analyzed, the same 40 principle is all that is needed, right? So I was very fascinated by some of the principle. I mean, mechanical vibrations. I mean, that's something that Prof. So taught us today, membuat objek bergetar atau bergema, right? So there was replace mechanical system, replace a mechanical means with other approach, right? So he also taught us dynamization, taking out extraction, local quality, right? So you will see how these principles, as you start to understand fundamentals, you will go to what is common to all of us as humans, as inventors. We look for guidelines from nature, guidelines from science. So we go back to something in common. And that's really what I discovered today as well, right? So when we look at the patent knowledge base, we are actually looking at the minds of all these people. They might not be with us today, but they exist with me in my hands. You can see it, right? These guys exist in my hands because the fundamental building blocks of what they did, what they used to come up with their inventions, is this 40 principle, and it is in my hands, right? So with that, I will just give you a sharing of what this is, right? For those who need to take a screenshot, you can take a screenshot. You can find on the web, there are many versions of these 40 principles. So you can start looking at this and start using in your school with your students, right? But you need to analyze what they are, see how you solve problems with it first before you even dared or before you even would want to use it on others, right? So this is, okay, now, these are only keywords here. They are meant to be triggers, right? So these triggers are meant to guide you to analyze what makes you an innovative person, what makes your creativity, what are the building blocks. You can start to answer these questions for each and every one of yourself. All right, now the difference between the TRIS approach and the common approach, how we solve problems, I mean, including myself, right? I mean, we tend to use trial and error approach a lot. See, trial and error approach, to a blind person, he has to use a trial and error approach because he needs to know, is the next step safe for me? Well, if it is safe, is the following step also safe for me? In a way, you always have to retract when you come across something that's a stumbling block, right? When we approach problems using techniques like brainstorming, what actually happens is we are using trial and error method, but sometimes they try to innovate this trial and error. They do, well, they have multiple trial and error points. You can jump from one point. In a way, so people are innovating the trial and error approach, but trial and error is trial and error. The difference between TRIS and trial and error is TRIS makes use of heuristics, which is the rule of thumb, what experts normally use in solving problems, and it guides us towards a solution, right? So if I have time to give you examples, I think you will see how this can be done, right? Now, going back to scientific effects, just now I told you that Cartesian diver is a scientific effect, right? Now, in my class, I normally ask this question, how do you move water from one container to another container? Right? And I asked the class, well, tell me ways you can move. So normally they will say, but you they will say, I'll take the water and pour. I said, there's a rule, you cannot move the cups, right? So then they will say, I will use a sponge, I will use a syringe, I will use siphoning, right? So these are some of the scientific effects that they share. And in all the classes, I don't come across more than 15 answers, right? So no matter which group, but the younger the group, the better the number of answers I get, right? But when I did a search on this Oxford creativity site, I was looking for TRIS effects, and I found out that there are 202 ways of moving water or liquid, right? When we generalize water to liquid, there are about 202 ways to move liquid, right? Now, all these are physics concepts, and you can actually start from here. And each of these is linked to a Wikipedia site, and this could be your start for coming up with the beautiful experiments that we saw in the previous keynote just now, right? So I hope that we will all take or make a commitment to understand the scientific effects, physical effects, chemical effects, biological effects, mathematical effects. So once we understand the scientific effects, we become better teachers, we become better STEM teachers. So I've actually answered the question about STEM and how it can benefit from TRIS already, right? But I just want to start with one more question, right? Because I think this is just to give you an understanding how this scientific effect was used in the patent database, right? So I think I will take an example here. How would you remove the core of a bell pepper? Can I have any answers from you? Just type your answers in the chat box. How would you remove, right, the core of a bell pepper? Using hand. Excellent. Thank you, Chego. Cut the center part, right? Okay, this is the common answer that I keep getting in most classes. Cut the center part. Okay, then I will just increase the challenge in this problem. What if I have to remove the core from 1,000,000 bell peppers? Right, bell pepper. Now, if you see, if I just use hand, I can remove from one. But what if I have 1,000,000 bell pepper? What do you do? Using machine. Excellent. Right. So, what scientific effect will you use? That's the question. When you say machine. Crush and centrifuge. Okay, excellent. I'm seeing y'all are getting scientific now. Any other answers? Okay, crush and centrifuge, not allowed because you cannot change in a way. Well, you want to remove it automatically, but you want to ensure that you want to fully separate the core. Once you crush, you can't guarantee that. All right, let me just click. I can see seed corer, right? Very good. Now, this is the normal answer. But the patent, I mean, when you look at a patent database in 1945, patent for processing bell peppers, force air inside the bell pepper, suddenly reduce the pressure, seeds and stems separate from the bell pepper body, right? So we saw similar experiments today where pressure was used, right? So air pressure, I mean, so I don't need to kind of get you all to imagine something because your imagination is already triggered, right? So you all can imagine what actually happened here. So this was a 1945 patent. So the principle here is slowly raise pressure and suddenly reduce it. So that was the principle, right? Now let's click some more. I just want to share with you that this simple idea can be used in many, many different contexts, right? So once I say it, I mean, the idea that came from a mechanical idea, it could be used in electrical, chemical. I mean, so you can use it in, if I have a physical effect, there is a principle behind it, and the principle can be transferred to chemistry. And that principle can be transferred to management, right? I mean, increase pressure, right? Slowly. Well, imagine in the management context, when I tell managers, they get an idea and suddenly release and fantastic ideas come out. So these are some things that TRIS teaches us, because it teaches us the principles which are general and easy to migrate across problems, right? So let's go back to the same problem that we were looking at. Okay, now if we were to remove the shell from the cedar nuts, and we know in 1945 someone invented the pressure, bill pressure, and suddenly release, right? So you find that in 1950 someone used the same principle. Now they use water instead of air, right? They slowly raised pressure and suddenly released it. So you can see the same scientific effect can be used across domains. And as time went on, they realized that they could actually even split diamonds by using the same principle, right? In 1972. So imagine someone who knew the principle in 1945. In 1946, they could have invented any of these things. But these are not all. I mean, in 1945, those were the patent. 1972, producing sugar powder from sugar crystal. So you can see, when we know humans' invention collection, there's a lot of copying there. But what they copy are the principles. I mean, when you copy your principles from a different domain, somehow it is allowed in your own domain. So in a way, as an inventor, these are level 4 inventions in TRIS, right? So for level 4 inventions, that will change the entire industry, right? So you can come up with those by just borrowing ideas from a variety of places, right? So as with normal, when you borrow ideas, you need to cite, you need to acknowledge, right? So that's just a rule, right? So creativity now is no longer inventing everything from scratch, but to adapt a previously used solution, right? So setiap permasalahan pasti ada penyelesaiannya. Kita hanya perlu tahu kaedah sistematik menyelesaikan masalah kita, right? Now, TRIS, in that way, what does it do? It provides a buffet of methods, a buffet of tools, function analysis, cause and effect chain analysis, trimming, engineering. Okay, in my course, I mean, I already taught the first few tools already. So we have level 1 training, level 2 training, level 3 training, where there are up to 30 tools. And well, level 3 training is 10-day training and 7 days by the TRIS master, right? So having completed that, I mean, you become very equipped with a whole collection of tools which could be used to make you look like a very creative person, but you're just a person with a very good toolbox, right? The toolbox has potential of solving answers, right? So I just will quickly go to the second question right now. When we use TRIS, we will start solving problems very differently, right? Now, when we ask questions like this in class, well, I need to shoot this ball bearing around the curved pipe. How would you solve the problem? Well, the problem is the corner of the pipe gets dented and always has to be replaced. They start painting, it gets dented again, because the curve is a place where the ball keeps hitting. So what can you do to overcome this problem? So TRIS experts will solve it in a very simplistic manner. So can you all suggest what that approach could have been for this problem? Use composite material, others? Well, it didn't work. That wasn't the answer. Spin the ball bearing, excellent answer, but that's not the answer that was adopted. Okay. Chemical, all right, very good. Using different fields, excellent. Okay, now someone says use magnet. Okay, now the ideal situation for stopping the ball bearing from hitting the wall of the curved surface is use the ball bearing itself to stop other ball bearings. So that is the ideal concept, right? Ideality in TRIS allows us to imagine an answer that doesn't exist, right? So when I say use the ball bearings themselves to stop other ball bearings, then the simplest answer would be use a magnet to create a layer of ball bearings. And that saved the company hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So you can see this is really the way TRIS experts think, and each and every one of you can start doing this, right? In the same way, I was asking, how am I going to paint all these tall buildings in Unimas? You know, well, painting is going to cost a lot of money, right? So we started asking, what is an ideal painting system? An ideal painting system is a system that paints by itself. You know, this was the answer that came from the management team. And guess what? Okay, let's say, how can the tower paint by itself? Okay, well, if that is the ideal concept, can I go one step before the ideal? What can I do? Can I have some intermediary that goes and paints this tower by itself without a human painter, right? So we started asking this question, and guess what? We came up with a concept of drones painting, right? And I was wondering, well, are these drones very expensive? And then I just went to Alibaba and found out that in $200 you can get one of these drones that can do painting, right? And you can come up with different designs, right? So every problem, when you approach it in terms of looking for an ideal solution, you actually go beyond what people are stuck with. You know, in a way, we get stuck with previous solutions that we saw. So this is one of the things that's very important for TRIS. It takes you away. And just to show you that this is an answer from Cikgu Juraida, right? I mean, we were asking the participants, can you design a whiteboard that is big enough for information and small enough to carry out? Right? So we just were using this as a class case, and the kind of question they start asking, what is the whiteboard? Okay, what if the whiteboard can be small and big at the same time? You know, so in a way they started asking this question, and very interesting answers came out. And one of the teachers actually came up with a foldable board. You know, so it is a very simple example, but this is an example of how TRIS can be used where students themselves can become inventors. I mean, their inventors may be rudimentary at first, but as you will know, as you push them, as you challenge them, they will achieve wonders, right? So as you can see, TRIS gives us a way of systematic innovation. And sometimes buying equipment may be costly. Sometimes equipment may not be available. But let me tell you, the biggest database in the universe is the nature's database. Nature has a million examples. All the patents are somehow inspired by nature in one way or another, right? So if we learn from nature, this would be blessing in disguise. Even the most difficult situation is useful to bring out your best, right? So with this, I mean, I'm kind of leaving y'all that y'all can use some of the tools in TRIS, or even use your own tools. Start using kind of mind maps, and this map is called a functional model, and you can start learning from a bird or some inspiration in nature. Start inventing something that actually adopts the principle or the scientific effect in nature, right? So just now we talked about scientific effect, and just now to move water, you can learn from the beetle, you can learn from a jellyfish, you can learn from this seed that just explodes and transfers some things, you know, catapult something to the other side, right? So you can see that we can learn from nature to break all sorts of barriers, right? So these are some activities I do in class. I'm not going to go there, but I just want to share with you what Cikgu Annie did. I mean, for her assignment, I mean, she was looking at coming up with a submarine that could be balanced. And she got an idea from nature. And what she did was she used this website, asknature.org, where she looked at fin movement aid in swimming backward and forward, right? So you can see nature gives us hints. Nature gives us clues that takes away well, our thinking to another area where the answer might be located in, right? So this is the systems thinking that was done in the class, right? So what I'm telling you all today is, all of you can do systems thinking. We can overcome this challenge of this lack of systems thinking or difficulties in system thinking by using very simplistic model. This model comes from Cikgu Zulfazli. Right. So another thing that we learned from Chris, I mean, before we go, I need to tell you all that contradictions is the biggest secret, actually. I mean, the biggest fundamental principle. The moment we learn to deal with contradictions properly, we already become a level 3 problem solver. We are no longer a level 1 problem solver, right? So don't worry about the levels, but I can just tell you that when you learn to deal with contradictions, these problems are worth solving, right? So contradictions are blessing in disguise. I mean, you see, for example, a contradiction could be the feather has to be durable and yet it needs to be flexible, right? So principal use porous material, right? So you can see by just formulating a problem well, we are able to go closer towards a solution. Right? And the kind of things that we do in a TRIS training would be to break an object into components, to connect the components, to look at what is the main function of the object that they are building, what are the components doing, what is harmful, what is useful, what is insufficient. We ask these components, and the projects that teachers can come up with can be very exciting, where you can actually prompt your students to ask deepening questions, right? So the tools are there. I mean, I'm happy to share the tools with you all if I get an opportunity, but what we need is to learn the tools properly, start learning them, using them in every opportunity we get, right? So this is another diagram that I'm very proud to share with you. It's by Cikgu Sim Wee Siang from KPM. I mean, what he did was he came up with this functional model, right? And I will say it's like built by an expert in TRIS, it's just 2 sessions of training. This can be achieved, right? The moment you learn to analyze an object, a product, by seeing the segments, right, or the components, you would be able to go deeper in your problem solving. And the moment you go deeper in your problem solving, students just watch you, they learn, they will do the same thing. They will go one step further. So really, this is what I'm asking you. Learn the tips, learn the techniques of systematic problem solving. You will be able to solve complex problem in your life without much effort. This is a tool that I used. It's a cause and effect chain analysis to deal with a complex problem. Coronavirus causes fatality. How can we deal with it? And if someone of you as a teacher, you can manage a discussion in a group. It can be done remotely by using tools like Padlets, right? So if you start doing it, you can direct, collaborative, inventive thinking by using very simplistic, easy to manage tools, right? So the thing that I will say is the biggest success in all the trainings that I've done is letting people see that every problem is not a challenge. Every problem is an opportunity for invention, especially if you have a contradiction. When people see a contradiction, they say, oh no, but TRIS master, a TRIS practitioner, TRIS learner will say, yay, now I get to use my knowledge, right? So this is really what I want to change for Sarawak, starting from all of you. Why all of you? You guys are the Duta Guru. Duta means ambassador. And as an ambassador, you will be a role model. If you just change a small aspect of your life, the orbit around you, people around you will notice, but your students will learn something beautiful from your improved way of solving problems. And that's what I'm targeting together with all of you. So I presume that's already, okay, they said 10 minutes more. Okay, if you say 10 minutes more, I will go on. But I was just worried about my timing, right? So now I come to, well, the next part of my presentation where, I'm just the last part of my presentation where I'm trying to tell you that innovation and creativity is a must for all STEM teachers. If you're a STEM teacher and you're not innovative, if you're not creative, and you don't really know the difference between trial and error and a deterministic, more directed approach, then your student is going to do the same. They're going to be confused. So we need to learn what innovation is about, because the age of today needs us to be scientific. It needs us to be inventive as well, right? It needs us to break boundaries. It needs us to dare to break boundaries. In order to dare to break boundaries, we need to be confident of our approach, right? So we need to slowly build our confidence by acquiring more and more knowledge of scientific effects, usage of these scientific effects. You will become an excellent guru, pengajar STEM, terbaik or unggul, right? So all of you have this opportunity, but you have to take this journey, right? So, before I conclude, I just want to share with you our goal in terms of this innovation era is highlighted by a talk. I was listening to Kendru, who's a rotating chairman of Huawei. He was talking about 5G technology. He says 5G will start a revolution. It will bring new power to all ICT technologies, right? It will trigger. So he said that there will be new opportunities like what we have never seen before. So when we look at 2G to 4G to 5G, this is one of the modeling tools in TRIS. I'm using this modeling tool. There is a difference. Masa 2G, 3G, kita kebanyakan masa kita offline, right? But in 4G, which is currently in many places, we are offline still as default. As default, we are still offline. We only go online when we say yes. But 5G, according to Huawei, is going to be online all the time. So imagine our children now, including all of us, we are moving into this 5G era. It is coming, whether we like it or not, it is coming to us, right? Okay, now as I was listening to the talk, I learned that until this 4G era, we use something called plug and play. That means we download something, we plug it to what we have, and then we just play, we use it. But in 5G, according to the chairman of Huawei, he said, plug and think. From plug and play, it becomes plug and think. Okay, now, as teachers, your role now is to study what I've shown you. Because 5G is coming, we don't have a way of stopping it. The change is going to affect rural communities, it's going to affect everyone. It's going to affect city people, it's going to affect the teachers, the students, everybody, the businesses, everybody needs to deal with 5G. It's a phenomenon. But what does it mean for students? If, let's say for students, if we say they need to plug and think, that means if they don't plug, they don't need to think. See, the last time I saw Google say, don't need to structure your data, we will do it for you. People became unstructured. They became lazy to manage their data. Right? So when someone says plug and think, you imagine the pengikut zaman will say, I don't need to think, the technology will help me to think. Right? So we as teachers have the role to stop this deterioration. Right? I'm telling you, we cannot stop it. The technology giants are too big for our students. They will influence our thinking. So with TRIS, we have a chance to turn this around. And I have done my small part only so far. You all have a bigger part because you have connection with the whole of Sarawak and you can do much wonder, right? So I have to kind of conclude with that kind of theme, but I have to tell you that don't worry, right? We already have some success stories. Some success stories that I found on the web. Zaisen Kang Zisun, right? Champion of NASA's Lunar Lu Challenge, right? So you see, he's using scientific principles that we saw today, the pressure and, trying to balance gravity, microgravity. So he was talking about this 9-year-old guy from Malaysia won this NASA challenge. So Malaysia, we have the talent. In Sarawak, let me tell you, we also have that challenge, right? And this group from MRSM Taiping, they won the National Innovation Award by using a TRIS principle called nested doll, right? So they just use principle number 7 and I'll put an object in another object to solve the problem with flash floods, right? Flash floods are coming, but for us interior areas. But when flash flood happens, sometimes you don't know is the water deep or shallow, right? So this is really what they managed to win the highest award for a school, right? And Cikgu Taufik Yahya from Bintulu is telling me that because of the cards, he can give much better examples in his class for teaching TRIS. And so what we can see is with TRIS, creativity can come with a much more balanced and a method that's different from trial and error, one that is more directed, right? It needs to also connect with each and every one of us as individuals. We need to bring out our curiosity. We need to bring our passion for learning new things, right? So this is really what we need to do. I mean, the tools that I told you, they are tools. You can use the tools in a variety of ways, right? We already saw our mentor from NUS already showing us that you can inspire despite the pandemic, right? So now we got to bring the spirit of inquisitiveness, the caring, the sharing, the love, the passion, the values, all these needs to come out to bring out the inventor in every one of us. With that, I conclude my session.
Okey, terima kasih Prof. Nara. Perkongsian yang amat menarik. Masa juga mencempuri kita. Okey, mungkin ada masa yang akan datang kita boleh mendengar lagi perkongsian apa itu TRIS dari Prof. Nara. Okey, kebanyakan kita memang mungkin baru berkenalan dengan apa itu TRIS. Okey, jadi okey. Dengan ini saya menyerahkan kepada Cikgu Zura untuk meneruskan slot seterusnya. Okey, untuk pengetahuan bagi yang bukan peserta bukan peserta PDG, okey, link ada di-share di dalam YouTube live untuk link pendaftaran. So boleh tengok di dalam link yang sudah di-share dekat live YouTube. Okey, so saya serahkan kepada Cikgu Zura.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so sekarang kita dah belajarkan tentang pendekatan daripada pendekatan daripada Prof. So, okay, dan juga penerangan yang bagi saya sangat menarik kepada kita, di mana penekanan TRIS di situ untuk membentuk diri kita sebagai salah seorang solver problem, ya, sebagai seorang penyelesai masalah. Alright, okay, so seterusnya, okay, kepada rakan-rakan guru, okay, yang mana bukan peserta program Duta Guru, okay, di mana kita dah beri link pendaftaran di situ. Okay, link pendaftaran bolehlah diperolehi di dalam tu, and then boleh pendaftar. Okay, so sekarang ni saya nak peserta rakan-rakan daripada program Duta Guru daripada semua zon untuk stay in, sentiasa kekal di dalam Zoom ini, okay, bagi sesi seterusnya. Okay, di mana sesi seterusnya adalah sesi perkongsian daripada rakan-rakan kita, okay, daripada rakan-rakan kita dalam Zon Sarawak, okay, di mana mereka ingin membuat perkongsian amalan terbaik, okay, dengan menggunakan pendekatan TRIS, okay, dengan menggunakan EDP ataupun mungkin dengan menggunakan pelbagai kepelbagaian di dalam pengajaran, okay, sebagai perkongsian amalan terbaik